surprise here. The Lakers picking up Lonzo Ball, the UCLA star, and the Celtics at number 3 taking on Jayson Tatum. And it was an exciting one. Like I said, we are at the Nesson Studios in Watertown, but we've got friends in Brooklyn. We've got friends down at the Garden. But before we talk to any of them, let's hear from Markelle Fultz. I mean, the 76ers did get him, but the Celtics originally had that pick. So was he mad that he's going to Philadelphia and not Boston? Let's find out.
I don't have anything against Boston, so no, I don't feel like that. I feel like everything I do is not to prove anybody wrong, is to prove myself and do stuff that I set goals for myself. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. I think my main quality is just my personality on and off the court, the way I am as a person, and the flaw. I mean, people might say I don't talk a lot really, so I think that's the flaw.
Well, there you have it. So he's not upset at all that he's going to Philadelphia. And guys, I am in Watertown. Yes, I am not at the draft, but we've got two of my great friends that are down in Brooklyn, Rachel Holt and Darren Hartwell. You guys, the draft, you guys have been there for 2 days now. What's the overall feel in Brooklyn?
Courtney, what day is it right now? Actually, we should say good morning. And we are trying to keep the energy alive because we have been running on pretzels and bananas. That's what they're feeding the media today. It's a late night for everyone. We can't complain. And overall, the energy here just so exciting. Everything seemed to go according to plan, like you said. Markelle Fultz being taken first by the 76ers, and then Lonzo Ball being taken second by the Lakers. It was a night that had the potential to go a million different directions. We really weren't sure. We were hearing all these rumors about trades, Paul George, Porzingis, but none of that came to fruition. So Darren was out on the floor. I was in the media center eating those snacks, as I mentioned, but he got to hear everyone cheer very loudly for Fultz.
Yeah, it was a pretty hectic scene out there. I'd say they were kind of feasting on what was going on stage there. Pretty strong Philly contingent in the draft. Obviously, we're in Brooklyn, pretty close to Philly. A lot of trust the process chants, a lot of trust the process signs too. Philly fans, once the Celtics traded that pick, they were pretty excited about it, getting the #1 pick and knowing that it would be Fultz. So as soon as he got drafted, everyone kind of erupted.
Okay, well, we know he was getting taken first, and a guy that we had an idea he was getting taken second was Lonzo Ball. Now, listen to this. His big baller brand shoes were everywhere. They're already being sold in Lakers colors for $495, so hop online if you want to get those. But in his press conference, he said he changed into the shoes when the Lakers were on the clock. So this was a guy that wasn't even taken yet, and he was already wearing the purple and gold. Apparently, he didn't have any backup shoes if the Lakers didn't pick him. So that's certainly a guy who's very, very happy he got selected, because the social media embarrassment after that, I don't think he could have handled it.
Yeah, of course. I think that's all part of the...
All right. Well, guys, we're going to stop you for a second because we just got word that Danny Ainge is live from the Garden. So hang on tight. We have more to ask you, but let's go to the Garden where Danny Ainge is going to address the media.
Get champion, like Minnesota went for veteran. Is that something that you had as part of your thinking?
Sure. We looked at whenever there's good players that are available, and we listen very closely to what the offers are. Sure.
Did it happen tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of discussion. I mean, listen, you guys, it's a very active time. I mean, they're just on the phone constantly, talking with every team and about all players, and it goes very fast. But yeah, there's a lot of conversation all the time around draft.
Danny, when it comes to, again, just the trades and moves you guys can make this summer, how much does it factor in when you're balancing when to make those moves, just keeping that salary cap space open you guys have enabled for yourself for the summer, just in terms of matching salaries? And maybe is it easier for you guys to make a trade later in the summer after you've used that salary cap space?
That's a good question, Brian. I think that, I mean, that's it. Both, he has its benefits to do it before and benefits to do it after. So it certainly hasn't closed a window that we didn't do it tonight. There's still a window open for trade opportunities for us in July. Do I have to?
Hi, Danny. Good to see
Gary.
you.
Did you write something bad about me recently?
No, I never write anything bad about you. Danny. Are you a better team?
Somebody told me something.
Yeah, because you don't read.
Of course, I never read it.
Yeah,
but.
you never read the Globe. Are you a better team than you were 3 hours ago?
Of course. Yeah.
And the salary cap adjustment that's lower than everyone thought it would be, how does it affect you guys?
That hurts. Hurt a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah. Little sting, but we've been preparing for a long time, and but that's going to make it a little more challenging.
You'll have to shuffle some roster guys, make some moves. You'll probably have to make an extra move.
Yeah, we'll be able to fix it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in foul trouble right now, but we'll be back. Back in the second half. Amanda, you just sit there or what? Oh. Seriously, that's all the equipment you can afford?
It's late, Dan. That's all I got right now. You better wrap this up. You're getting tough on these guys.
I'm enjoying the show. In discussions you've had with other teams, do you feel like they're asking more out of you guys than they are out of other teams in potential negotiations because of the amount of assets you have?
I think there's some truth in that. I think you're spot on there a little bit. I mean, I know that when I'm trying to do deals with teams and I'm looking at, I'm going to call that team because they have something I'm real excited about. Yeah, I think that people around the league know the things that we have, and I think they are asking for some of our prime real estate.
Was that a hurdle in getting things done over the last few days?
I don't know. I think over the last few trading periods, I think it's been a little bit of a hurdle. But, bottom line is we just have to do the deals that we really believe in, and I think our team is on board. The ones that we turn down and the ones that we pursue longer and think more about, and I think that we're all on the same page. So we'll just continue to find the right deals.
Danny, on lottery night when you guys got the #1 overall pick, was this a situation that you right away kind of viewed as a best case scenario? Did you view Jayson that night, because you've been working on this stuff forever, did you view Jayson that night as a guy who was going to be your #1 target and then maybe get an extra pick out of it down the road, or is it something that kind of evolved?
The thought crossed my mind before the lottery, because I do follow these kids for the last couple of years, and but I didn't know. I didn't know what would evolve, and but yeah, Jayson was one of the players, one of a handful of players that we were really high on and excited about.
Did you decide on Jayson yesterday, today? Was there deliberations? Did you go back and forth with him and Josh? And was there some type of late night workout with Josh last night? Mystery workout? Can you take us through the decision making over the last 24 hours?
Never talked with Josh. No one in our organization did. I know someone wrote that was different, but that's not the case. They canceled a workout on us when we flew out to Sacramento, and they just decided to cancel it as Brad and I and Mike Zarin flew cross country. So there was something that he didn't want to play for the Celtics. In spite of that, we've watched Josh for 2 years, and we're fans. He's a terrific kid and a good player. So we tried not to overreact to those kinds of things and make a big deal of it. Agents and players have all sorts of motivations to get to certain places, as we've seen in the past. You remember last year, Chris Dunn didn't want to come here. We didn't hold it against him. We felt like we were just taking the player that we wanted, but and I think the same thing this time. I don't think we were trying to penalize Josh too much, but we didn't get to see him or talk to him face to face.
So did that count him out entirely after
No.
he canceled the workout?
No.
Oh, there was thoughts.
No. Oh, there were thoughts. Yeah, I was mad. I flew across country. You kidding me? I had to get up at 4 o'clock and fly back home.
So yeah, what'd you do in Sacramento, Dan?
I don't know. There's nothing to do in Sacramento. Yeah.
Thank you.
That could get me in trouble there.
Any final questions?
As you fielded offers or searched for offers, trade opportunities today, was your intention with the number 3 pick to keep the player, or did you ever consider scenarios where you would have parted with the player you ended up drafting?
I mean, listen, you consider, I wish I could say, with every player that we didn't consider trading players, but that's just the nature of my job. So, there's discussion with everybody, but that doesn't mean that that's our intention. I mean, we never intended to trade this pick. It was always our intention to keep it. But, no matter who you are, you're going to be in trade discussions all around the league. You see some of the best players in the league are discussed, and some of the greatest players of all time have been traded, and that's the nature of this business. And I think that as a player, it's sort of good to wake up to that immediately, because it really is a business, and I think most of them know that.
And you told Gary that the salary cap change stung or whatever, but was there any feeling of a sting or any trade that didn't occur tonight? Is there any?
I don't think so. I mean, sure. There's deals that I would like to do, and we'll just keep. But I'm feeling great about where we are today. I'm feeling great about our night tonight, and we'll live to fight another day tomorrow, and get ready for July.
You've already got a lot of young guys on this roster, and there's more coming. I mean, you expect Zizic to come. Yabusele, do you have any sort of clarity on whether or not he'll be here next year?
I wouldn't say clarity. Those things we're still discussing all that.
And so along those lines, is there enough room for all these guys, or are we talking like serious competition for spots with some of these young guys?
Yeah, I mean, we have 17-man rosters now. And with the D-League affiliation, we have 4 affiliate players also, and we're paying more and more attention to the development league and the Gatorade League, and trying to get players to improve. And we've seen throughout the last 5 to 10 years a lot of players that are drafted in the second round. I mean, we have our leading scorer on the one of the best scorers in Celtics history that was a 60th pick in the draft, and so. Every draft pick matters, and every guy that comes to summer league and it matters. And but yeah, there's a lot more players in the pool of rosters on every team in the league, and yeah, we have a lot of young players that we have rights to. Yeah.
Guys who didn't get their name called tonight, is there a good awareness among players of the G League or different professional leagues in different countries that might be the second or third best option for them? Or is that stuff that their agents are now educating them on? Don't feel bad, there's Greece.
Yeah, I think that there's some very good agents out there that are well aware of all the options for the players, and the Gatorade League is a great option for players now as an alternative to going overseas and playing.
Danny, do you anticipate the 2 guys at the end of the second round that you took, putting them into the 2-way slots?
We're not sure yet. We haven't started those negotiations. We've had preliminary talks with a handful of guys as the draft was going on, but we'll determine that over the next week or 2.
Have you gotten a feel? So it's completely new to everybody. Have you gotten a feel for how players and agents do they appreciate the idea of being in a 2-way contract? Do you think that players are more likely to test the market for a full contract, or try to go with you guys to try to get a 2-way contract?
I think that most players would prefer an NBA contract as opposed to a 2-way contract, but again, there's only a certain amount of jobs in the NBA, and there's a lot of players. So Two-way contracts are great now. I mean, it's much better circumstance. I think the Players Association did a fantastic job of spreading some of the wealth and the new TV money, and now guys can play in the D-League and make real money. And so that's a great opportunity. And so I mean, obviously guys want an NBA contract and always will, but the two-way contracts are a good alternative to playing in foreign country.
Anything else? Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging in on the late night. Garage is open until 2 a.m.
Excited about the Celtics getting Jayson Tatum, the Duke small forward. Everyone's very excited at the Garden. We'll hear from Nick Goss in a little bit, who's live there. But first, let's hear from Tatum himself. After he was drafted, he's very excited, very smiley. Here's him after he got the number 3 pick.
This has been a great night. It's been a dream come true. You know, just making it to the NBA and, you know, being drafted by a great franchise, you know, like Boston. And I'm excited just to, you know, bring a lot of versatility and just accepting my new role and, you know, just trying to be the best at whatever Coach Stevens, you know, wants me to be.
Jayson, right here in the center. Steve Kyler, Basketball Insider. Ainge traded the number 1 pick. He said he was going to get the guy who was going to take number 1 overall anyway. That's you. How do you feel about that?
You know, that's a great compliment, especially with all the great guys in this class. The 2 guys that went ahead of me, you know, they're great players, but I'm glad at how it worked out. So I'm happy. Thank you.
Valeria Rubino, Viaggio Sport. Hello, congratulations, I'm here. So looking back to when you were a kid, how hard was it to get to this point, and what do you want to accomplish now?
It was extremely tough, you know, getting to where we are now. And, you know, all the guys in the green room, you know, can relate to all the hard work and sacrifice, you know, that it took to get here. And, you know, now this is like the beginning. And there's so much more ahead that, you know, I want to accomplish. And, you know, I'm excited I get to do it with the Boston Celtics.
Hi, I'm Marcel from the German media. Congratulations. You had a lot of fun at your table with your family, with your little sister. How important is your family and most of all your little sister for you?
Family is the most important thing. You know, they've been with me, you know, my entire life before I was going to be in the NBA. And they've helped me and been with me the entire way. And there's nobody else I'd rather share it with, you know, than them.
Jayson right here, Matt Norlander, CBS Sports. What do you know of Boston based off of workouts and the interview process leading up to this? And what did Mike Krzyzewski perhaps tell you about the kind of coach that Brad Stevens is? Obviously, they famously met in that national championship game back in 2010.
Coach K talked to me. We talked a lot during this process, but I think it was like right after, you know, they traded the pick. You know, he called me and talked about, you know, that Boston wanted me to come up there for a workout. And he was just ranting about how great of a person, you know, Brad Stevens is, and that, you know, he would, you know, Coach K would love the opportunity, you know, if they would pick me, and he really wanted me to go up there and work out for them. And, you know, I was all for it, and it worked out, and, you know, I had a great time up there on my visit, and obviously they enjoyed me.
Jayson, Samir Pandare, Duke Chronicle, over here on the left. Just that 1 year at Duke that you had with Coach K, obviously a little bit of an up and down roller coaster. What was maybe one thing you learned throughout the year that you want to take with you now heading into the NBA?
Man, Duke was a great time for me. There's so many things that you know, I learned, especially from Coach K. I think just, you know, his passion and, you know, the confidence he gave me throughout Duke. And that how much he believed in me as a player. And when somebody like that believes in you, then it takes your game to a new level.
Jayson, Adam Lockley, NBADraft.net. Congratulations on getting drafted. You're playing for the Boston Celtics right now. You grew up as a Kobe Bryant fan. Describe the moments when you first fell in love with the game of basketball.
As long as I can remember, probably the age 3 or 4 years old, just, You know, Kobe Bryant's always been my favorite player, and you know, I think he's one of the biggest reasons why I fell in love with this game.
Hey, Jason, congratulations. Alex Kennedy, Hoopsite. Most guys that go top 3 end up being on a bad team, lottery team. You're joining a contender, #1 seed in the East. How exciting is that for you to be able to go to a winning situation right away?
It's great. I think that I get to learn that much more, you know, especially from a veteran team that, you know, knows what it takes, you know, to get there. And I can't wait to go and learn from, you know, Coach Stevens and Isaiah Thomas and, you know, just everybody on that roster.
Jason, Adam Himmelsbach with the Boston Globe. How did you find out you were picked tonight, and have you had any communication even now with anybody on the team?
I had no clue. The only indication I had was, you know, right before he called my name, you know, all the cameras came to my table. So I was like, this is a pretty good sign.
And have you had any communication already with, like, Danny or Brad? Any text messaging or talking to them? Or?
I'm sure my agent has, but you know, I haven't talked to them since I left Boston.
Jason, Steve Belpet, Boston Herald. What was the emotion? Can you give us like a play-by-play what happened at the table when your name got called, and what was that emotion like?
Man, it was the best feeling I've ever had in my young life. I'm only 19. It was the moment I've always been dreaming about and waiting for, and it was as special as I could have imagined, and that much more.
Who'd you hug? I mean, was it your mom first, or?
Oh yeah, my mom. I had to hug my mom first.
And then?
My dad and both my grandmas and my agent.
Thanks.
Lee Altman, NBA.com.
Oh, okay.
First off, congratulations on the big night. But I was just wondering, do you have any prior relationships with any of the players on the Celtics? You talk to them at all?
The only person I know is Jaylen Brown. You know, he's close to my age, and we were in a couple AAU camps when we were in high school, so that's why I know him from.
Do you think that'll be a helpful person for you going into your first season to have him kind of pick his brain?
Yeah, I'm sure. As any other guy on the roster, you know, they've all been through what I'm about to go through, so they can all be helpful.
Definitely. Thank you.
Duke athletes are not only terrific, but they're also pretty good students. I know you told me yesterday that you kind of knew you were going to be leaving after 1 year, but you're only 19. Do you plan on continuing your college education in the near future? Just wanted to.
Yes, I do. Exactly when, I'm not sure, but yes.
Will it be at Duke? They got a lot of fine schools in your new place of work.
I hope it's at Duke. Yeah, that's where I'd love to graduate from.
All right, well, there you go, Jayson Tatum, the new Celtics guy. And I cut them off earlier, our friends in Brooklyn. So let's bring back Rachel and Darren. You guys, I'm so sorry, but, you know, Danny does take precedence over you guys.
Well, they're kind of cleaning up around us, so we're not sure if the lights are going to get shut off. But we're here. We're subsiding on pretzels and bananas, and you're cutting away from us. But, yes.
You keep talking about these pretzels and bananas.
They were good.
That's all we ate. That's all we ate today. We're allowed to complain. Jayson Tatum obviously seems very excited to be a Boston Celtic, and we heard from Danny Ainge that this was their guy all along. We didn't know that necessarily. Tatum certainly didn't know that. As you heard in the press conference, he said he didn't know until all the cameras swarmed his table, and then he kind of got the idea that something was happening. He said this has to be a pretty good sign. Overall, he talked about how great of a coach Brad Stevens is. He talked about Isaiah Thomas. He talked about how he really wants to learn from this roster. And what's kind of crazy to me is when I looked at this guy's birth date, it's March 3rd, 1998.
I was just going to bring this up.
Freaking out. I'm freaking out. I'm having a
out.
midlife crisis. But even though he's so young, reports seem to indicate that this guy is the most NBA ready out of any of the guys here. So, Darren, what are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just to that point, when you watch the guy talk, he's, you know, a pretty mature guy, a pretty polished guy. And I also thought it was interesting just in terms of, you know, the Celtics liking him. You know, he went in for a workout with Boston. He visited Boston. He actually worked out with them twice, and Ainge and all of them got to see him. And then you look at a guy like Josh Jackson. You saw Ainge in the press conference.
He was not happy.
He was not happy about going to Sacramento and not having anything to do in Sacramento because Josh Jackson canceled his workout. So going into the draft, to kind of like leading up to the draft in the few days, they were kind of going back and forth between Jackson and Tatum. Those were the rumors anyways. And Tatum kind of proved himself, I guess, by just showing up to a workout, and obviously it goes beyond that, and the type of player Tatum is. I think he fits pretty well in Boston's system, and is a better shooter, first of all, so he can kind of be a more well-rounded offensive talent. But yeah, that he kind of separated himself from the pack there.
And Ainge revealed more in his press conference. Obviously, we've been speculating on the process all along. It seems like he did not intend to trade the number 3 pick at all during this process. Porzingis trade talks, he said they were blown out of proportion. So what do you make of that? You think that Tatum is here to stay?
Well, that's an interesting question, because Ainge also mentioned that
they're not done.
They're not done yet, and you really never know with this guy. I mean, in terms of a trade for Porzingis, I don't know. It sounds like they were kind of a little bit far apart on those talks. They exchanged reported trade packages involving picks and whatnot. I still think that there's a possibility. There's always a possibility that something could happen, but Jimmy Butler went off the board, and that's kind of been the Celtics, target for the last few years. Obviously, you still have Paul George out there, and the Pacers reportedly they're trying to move him. Actually, the GM said they're trying to move him. So, still a lot of things that could happen, but the Celtics like Jayson Tatum a lot, and given where they are right now and the state of the league, I think they'd be pretty happy with keeping him and continuing that upward climb that they're on.
Yeah, overall, Courtney, the Celtics fans seem pretty happy here. I was outside the Barclays Center earlier, many hours ago, and I asked some fans who they wanted, some Celtics fans that were walking around, and they said Tatum. So I know those guys are happy now. I know a lot of Celtics fans are happy right now, and that's good news for all of us.
Darren, I also had a question for you. You tweeted something very interesting. Welcome to the 21st century. Adam Silver announces the Jimmy Butler trade, and fans just yawn because they saw the news 30 minutes ago. Can you bring us into the room for that moment?
Yeah, it was very strange because, you're watching it live, and, here's Adam Silver announcing that, one of the best players in the NBA has been traded, and, you can hear a pin drop. Like, nobody was reacting to it. And, of course, we all know why. Everyone was on their phones and saw the news about, half an hour ago. So it's very, very strange scene. And then funnier scene later on in the second round, everyone kind of filtered out, and the deputy commissioner was up announcing picks. And right before he announced a pick, some fan in the corner was shouting out the name of that pick. So you heard, someone's name get shouted out, and then the deputy commissioner saying it right after. So it kind of spoiled it right before, and the fan got a good kick out of it, but I don't know if many other people did.
It gets more interesting by the year, seeing people tweet these things out before they even happen, and then deciphering what's real and what's not. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely the age of Twitter. And I also cut you guys off earlier while you were talking about Lonzo Ball. Was there anything else you wanted to say about him before I cut you off?
That this is just a confident guy who wears Lakers shoes before he's even picked by the team, and I respect that.
Yeah, and one thing that I was going to add, obviously, you can't mention Lonzo without LeVar. LeVar was there in full force, and when they exited, they made their grand exit, the entire Ball family. Probably one of the biggest boos of the night from the crowd was when LeVar walked out of the Barclays Center, and of course he's like eating it up, waving to everybody. He actually he was wearing a big Baller Brand hat and tossed it into the stands. And of course the fans all were clamoring for it. So he's a pretty good villain. I gotta hand it to him.
He knows how to make a splash.
All right, well, great stuff from both of you. Thanks so much for keeping us in the loop. Our eyes and ears in Brooklyn. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Courtney.
You got it.
All right, well, as you heard from them, the whole draft has really been about the Ball family, about Big Baller Brand. So let's hear about what Lonzo had to say after he was drafted number 2 by the Lakers about
I had
the
him for a minute.
And about the brand.
Just had a good feeling. And changed them 5 minutes before, when they was on the clock, and I'm glad they called my name. I'm not sure. That's something we got to talk about further down the line. But as of now, we're trying to be a premium, brand, so we're trying to be at the top.
Well, that follow-up on that, do you feel that kind of makes you a target for the endorsers who wear other brands, the Nikes, et cetera, that their endorsers are going to tell them, hey, wait a minute, let's make sure we stand for our brand and, in a sense, make Big Baller Brand kind of look bad in the process? Does that put a target on your head, so to speak?
According to the media, I have a lot of targets on me, so probably.
Well, interesting stuff. According to the media, yes, he does have a target on his back. But it's time to talk about social media. We've talked about it already tonight, how it's kind of just the time of the ages. It's the Twitter age right now. So let's head to social media and see the best of the best. We've got to start with the #1 overall pick, Washington's Markelle Fultz. He made a little bit of a blunder on his Instagram account. He tweeted out a picture, Instagrammed out a picture, and he said, excited to head to, in parentheses, city and join the, in parentheses, team name. This is obviously an ad for a watch, but he didn't end up editing in his team name or what city he's going to. So people are having a lot of fun with that on the internet, and we'll probably be seeing a lot more of that. I saw a funny one. The Ringer, I think, tweeted out a picture of a jersey, and on the front it just said team name with Fultz on the back. So look out for that one. That's probably on sale already. That's probably on sale. Now, Barstool Sports had a funny tweet. Zach Collins. They tweeted, welcome to Portland, Zach Collins. He tweeted a while ago, back in 2012, all I want for my birthday is a big booty, ... exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. This was at 12:58 a.m. on October 16th, 2012. You all probably know the song, so you know how to finish it out, but Barstool Sports loves to troll people as soon as they are drafted. So there you go, Portland, Oregon, the Trailblazers getting Zach Collins. And further down, we've got the Ball family. Of course we do. And as you can see, there's a theme going on, and 120 Sports had a funny tweet. When you get left off the family group text, hashtag NBA draft. And I thought that one was hilarious because 3 out of 4 are dressed pretty similarly, and then we've got one in red. But you know what? That's the one that was kind of a ball hog, so we don't really blame him. UNC basketball had a great tweet today as well. I don't know if we got that in yet, but it's of Roy Williams and Justin Jackson from way back in the day. UNC basketball wanted to tweet out their good luck to Justin Jackson. And you want to go check this out on Twitter. UNC basketball. Justin Jackson has always been a Tar Heel fan, and he went with Roy Williams and took a picture with a basketball. And it was great. It was phenomenal, and he's a little kid. So if you get a chance, go to Twitter and check it out. It'll be great. But we've got to go to the Garden soon, and it's going to be a good time. We've got Nick Goss there. He's going to be talking to us about Danny Ainge. He's going to be talking to us about Jayson Tatum. There's a lot that Nick Goss is going to be talking to us about, so you want to stay tuned and hear about that. But I want to talk more about social media. Another thing you guys want to check out on the Twitter, if you will, is Fultz's shoes today. They were made out of basketballs. Take it or leave it. They look pretty stylish, but they are made out of basketballs, actual basketballs. So they're pretty cool. Go check that out on Twitter as well. But we have Nick Goss from the Garden. Nick, we've been waiting to talk to you all night long. Talk to me. How's it feel? What's the vibe like? Are people excited about Tatum?
People are really excited about Jayson Tatum. And Danny Ainge said he would have taken Tatum at #1. He's really excited with the pick. He's been following Tatum for a few years, even since when Tatum was in high school. Obviously saw a lot of Duke games this year. One of the Celtics owners has a son who played at Duke this year, so they're very, very familiar with Tatum. They're very high on him, and they're very happy to have him in the fold.
All right, well, Nick, coming up tonight, you're going to have a written piece for us about the winners and losers of the 2017 NBA draft. Talk to me right now. Who are your winners and losers?
I thought the Minnesota Timberwolves were a real winner. They acquired Jimmy Butler. They gave up Chris Dunn, who's had injury issues. Zach LaVine blew out his knee this year. They didn't really give up a whole lot for Jimmy Butler. And when you add Jimmy Butler to a young, impressive core that already included #1 picks, Andrew Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns, and they have a very good coach in Tom Thibodeau, who actually coached Jimmy Butler with the Bulls for a few seasons, they're a team that could really be the most improved club in the West next year. And they're going to be a tough play in the regular season because they're very good defensively. Thibodeau's an excellent coach. So I think getting Jimmy Butler for really not a high price for a team that's on the rise. Made the Timberwolves a big winner tonight. And I think losers, I think, Dennis Smith falling all the way to number 9. I thought he was going to go in the top 5. He's an excellent point guard from North Carolina State. Also, the Chicago Bulls were a loser. I mean, getting rid of Jimmy Butler and not acquiring a whole lot back, and they didn't really add any. They took Lauri Markkanen with this number 7 overall pick. He's a good stretch 5 center, but I don't think he's really what they need. He's not going to replace Butler's scoring. He's not a point guard, and that's what they really needed, a dynamic point guard, which they still don't have. So I thought those were the winners and losers that stood out to me.
All right, now let's talk about surprises. Anytime you and I have worked together, we've always talked about what surprised you most from that game, that event. Tonight, what was the biggest surprise for you?
I mean, I think, Lonzo Ball, Lonzo Ball's dad, LeVar, coming out and saying that the Lakers are going to be in the playoffs the first season that Lonzo's there. I mean, if they got Paul George, I might believe that. But the Lakers, as currently constructed, are not a playoff team. But we know LeVar likes to talk. He likes to set huge expectations for his son. And Lonzo's a very good player. He's drawn a lot of comparisons to Jason Kidd, Penny Hardaway, 6'6" point guard who can score, play make at a high level. But getting the Lakers in a tough Western Conference to the playoffs is going to be difficult. So I was a little surprised at that. But then again, we really can't be surprised at anything LeVar Ball says.
That we can't. Now, last but certainly not least, obviously everybody's excited about Tatum. Everybody's excited about what the Celtics did in the first round. Them trading that number 1 pick ended up working out for them pretty well. Let's talk about the second round, though. In your opinion, how do you think the Celtics did?
Getting 3 second-round picks, they got a lot of versatility out of those guys, some shot blocking as well. But it's going to be really difficult for these guys to make the roster. Let's remember, the Celtics were one of the deepest teams in the league last year. They played 10, 11 guys deep in the rotation, even in the playoffs, which is pretty rare. And let's not forget that they have 2 European players who they took in the first round last year, Zizic and Yabusele, who both could come over this season. So they took 5 second-round picks last year, 3 first-round picks last year. They had 1 first-round pick this year, 3 seconds this year. They have a ton of draft picks coming in. Some of these guys are going to have to go to the Development League or the Gatorade League. But it's a good spot for the Celtics to be in. They have so many young players who will fight for spots. And, of course, plenty of assets for Danny Ainge to move if he needs to. So it's going to be hard to find playing time for some of these guys. So they're going to go to a summer league, and that's going to be the Celtics summer league team is going to be one of the most competition-heavy teams that we've really seen in the summer league. There's going to be a lot of playing time up for grabs there, and whoever impresses will have the best shot at being on the opening day roster.
Well, Nick, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me. We're looking at like 1:07 a.m. right now, so I'm going to let you go get some sleep. But thanks for being our eyes and ears from the Garden.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, that will do it for us on draft night, NBA 2017. Quite a night, but the draft may be over. We're not done reporting on it. So you want to make sure that you keep it locked in on NESN.com. We'll have you covered for everything you need to know. If you missed anything, if you're sleeping right now, if you're going to wake up tomorrow and wonder what happened in the draft, NESN.com is your destination. And as we go throughout the offseason, you want to make sure you keep it locked in here. I'm Courtney Cox from the NESN studio. Thanks so much for tuning in.